Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be talking about underpaintings. We're going to be doing really simple landscape, and I'll show you different ways to change the mood by using different undertone on your canvas. So I think it should be an interesting lesson. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight. I'll be doing this live, so you can ask questions, and let's get started. Alrighty, so hey, I'm here. I made it. It was not a sure thing, let me tell you. I was in Orlando just yesterday, and it was ice storm here in Arkansas. So we just
what fun!
Huh?
What fun!
Yeah, yeah, and that was a interesting plane rides yesterday. Yeah, but we made it back, so yay! I'm glad to be back with you guys. You who watch us live on Tuesdays don't know that I was even gone anywhere, but anyhow. It'll be an interesting night because I'm a little scattered still from being gone for 5 days. But all right, so we're going to be painting a really simple landscape. This one, you may be like, oh, that photo is not that interesting. Go ahead and put the photo up there, hon. It's kind of boring. It's not a lot going on. So I'm going to show you kind of different ways to spice up a photo that you might have taken that you're like, I really want to paint this thing, but you know, there's not a lot going on. So I want to make it a little bit more colorful or a little bit more serene or a little bit more neutral or whatever, and show you different ways to kind of achieve that by kind of changing the undertone on your canvas and how that affects the mood of the whole painting. I do undertones a lot on my channel, and I get questions about it a lot and how I choose and things like that. So I've just put this on paper, so it's not gonna be, this is just for study. And I suggest you do this too. Just try it as a study, put out different colors and see what happens when you paint other colors over the top of them. If it's a color like blue, if you paint an orange or a complementary color over the top of it, blue and orange being complementary colors, you will get kind of a neutral color for certain areas where that happens. When you paint cooler colors on a blue, you're going to get, so like a magenta, for instance, or a purple, or another blue, or even greens, you're going to get cooler versions of those colors because that blue undertone is going to pop through. If you're doing it on a yellow, you're going to get warmer undertones of whatever it is that you are painting. So if you want your color choices or your painting to look a little bit more cheerful or a little bit more sunlit, yellow is a great choice, and a lot of people choose yellow. This is Yellow Oxide. This one's ultramarine blue. Yellow Oxide is a great undertone color. It's kind of a classic undertone color for classical artists. Rembrandt and different ones used something similar to this. And it works really well for landscapes because blue skies tend to get a little greenish undertone, which is really pretty and sometimes happens in skies. And the greens always get a little bit more vibrant and sunlit feeling. I personally like using like magentas, pinks, warmer colors, reds, oranges, and things like that. So for tonight's painting, when I actually do the example, I'm going to use, this one is burnt orange, which has been Quinacridone burnt orange specifically, which has been really, really thinned down, just basically used a paper, tiny little daub of it with a paper towel and wiped it on. If you do not have this color, which has been discontinued, unfortunately, you can sometimes catch it in, I think Winsor Newton still has it in a slightly different version than the golden one that was discontinued, but burnt sienna and Quinacridone magenta in equal parts, just tiny little bit of each. Wipe it on with paper towel really thin like this and let it dry. So that's what I'm going to use for our landscape undertone. So burnt sienna is another good color to use. I like warm colors. It kind of just makes your painting a little bit more vibrant. Same thing with the magentas. Those reds kind of peek through and make it a little bit spicier. And then greens are going to be soothing and kind of blend in with our landscape. So let's go and use the same colors for this sample We're going to put them on all 4 of these panels, and we're going to see what happens with each one, and you'll see the contrast and the differences. I'll go over my palette here really quick. I've got Carbon Black, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, Yellow Oxide, which is this one, Cadmium Yellow Light, Indian Yellow Hue, Pyrrole Orange, which would also make a good undertone, maybe mixed with a little bit of white. Quinacridone Magenta, which is this one. Ultramarine Blue, which was this one. This one is Phthalo Blue Green shade. Turquois, Phthalo, which is this one. Thinned down. All these been thinned down with water. And then this one is Phthalo Green Yellow shade, Green Gold, Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White. And I'm not going to put the gloss glazing liquid out right now because I don't think I'm going to need it. And again, this one was Quinacridone Burnt Orange, which is right here on my palette, but you can mix this with Burnt Sienna and Quinacridone Magenta if you don't have that color and can't find it. All right, let's get going because we got a lot to cover today. I'm just going to grab a large filbert. This one is a 6 filbert. And I'm going to just quickly paint in this landscape. Now, with the landscape, you're going to have 4 different planes. I just learned about this, and I want to pass it on to you because I think it's really fascinating. So your sky is going to be your lightest value. Generally, now these are rules. Obviously, in art, rules are meant to be broken. So this is not going to go for every single landscape. Of course, nighttime, different sunlets, whatever is going to be different. But this is just kind of a general rule of practice. Lightest value is going to be your sky. Second lightest value is going to be sunlit surfaces. So this area down here on the bottom, right here, there, what that's facing up the sun, getting the most light. Third lightest value is going to be angled planes like mountains and things like that that are kind of rolling hills. And then your darkest is going to be your vertical surfaces that are not getting as much light. So I thought that is a really, really cool rule of thumb that we can use to play with our landscape. So now we know no matter where we put our mountains or our our trees or things like that, we always know where to put our lightest, our 4 values that we're going to use. So let's go ahead and just grab a blue for our sky. I'm going to use Phthalo Blue and Ultramarine Blue, which is kind of the combo that I like to use for sky because it's kind of just a plain neutral blue. It doesn't have too much blue. Purple, which Ultramarine Blue has kind of a purple leaning, and the Phthalo Blue Green shade has more of a green leaning. And so the 2 of them combined has kind of just a base neutral blue color. All right, so I'm going to try to mix up enough for all 4 of these. There we go. And I'm going to start with a kind of medium value of it, and I'm going to add white over here. So I have a lighter version. And again, our sky generally is going to be our lightest value. And in this case, it's really cloudy, and so it's definitely our lightest value. Okay, so you can see when I put it over blue, it's not going to be that visible. It's not doing a whole lot. You're not going to see a lot of things going on. And there you go. It's going to be kind of soothing. It's going to blend in to a blue background when you are doing a landscape. I'm going to use a little bit of white. I like to use white on the horizon line and just kind of smush up some clouds maybe. Okay, so there's our blue on blue. And again, not a whole lot going on there. So maybe not the best choice for landscape, but we'll see. Here's it on our yellow. Now, depending on how thinly I put this on, you could see how there's like greens and almost gray happening here in different places. And I can put it really dark in the corners, maybe darken up certain areas. And then when I put in the areas with the white, lighter areas. And then on this one, it's kind of like top third, middle third, then a little bit of land, and then the bottom kind of third. Middle third and is mountain and land and trees, and then bottom third. So we're going to kind of do the top third with the sky here on this one. You can situate this however you want. If you want your sky to be really massive and you want lots of clouds, you can bring your sky all the way down to here and have just a little strip of land at the bottom. There's all kinds of different ways you can manipulate a scene like this. and, you know, make it how you want it to be. So that's kind of the fun thing. And I hope you guys do play with this and explore it and try different colors and see what you like. Okay, so there it is with it doesn't even look like the same colors, right? Very much more green going through with that yellow underneath. Okay, so over here, what is it going to do? It's probably going to make it look a little bit more cool because we've got a warm color under here. Our magenta is much more, and by cool, I mean like purple, which is more of a warmish
Oh, not like
blue.
Fonzie
But
cool.
anyhow, what?
Not like Fonzie cool.
It's going to warm up the blue and make it more purple.
Okay.
Your coolest blue is going to be cyan, which is your turquoise. So anything that you're going away from that towards this color is your warmest color. This like bright orangey red, and probably maybe with a little bit of magenta in it, like cadmium red, medium red light is like your warmest color, and then a cyan, like a turquoise, maybe phthalo blue and turquoise together, will be your coolest color. So anytime you're working away from that towards your reds, so our next color from these two this way is the ultramarine blue, which is getting closer to warm. Does that make sense? So, and anytime you're moving from like a magenta towards the towards that, like right in here would be purple, which would be cooler than magenta because it's closer to that cyan. Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, I was
I
just
don't know if I'm beating a dead horse here.
no, you're not. I just
Okay,
I
good.
didn't mean it that way. I was like, okay, I got it.
Okay.
If I get it, I know that these art people are getting it.
Okay,
So
good.
you're doing a good job. You've explained it at the kindergarten level successfully. If
Mark's like, got it, move on. I was like, okay, sorry. I will move on. But yeah, you can see all these really pretty pinks. This is why I like this color underneath, because I really love all these pinks in the sky and the purple tones that happen. Of course, I'm not doing, any particular cloud, trying to... But you can leave some of that red popping through, and I'll do all kinds of fun things with it. And then we're going to use this on the green. And now I'm not really expecting a whole lot out of this. We're going to probably get a very greenish blue out of this because we've got this green undertone. We're going to end up with something closer to our cyan leaning sky. And there we go. Yeah, see, it's actually fairly close to that, but more intense. You see how it darkened it up with that lighter yellow underneath. It's not quite as dark. This really darkened that sky color up quite a bit. All right, so there's our sky. Now for our mountains, well, let's go to our next value, which would be our grasses and the plains that are anything that's getting sunlit hit on it. So we can just pick whatever color we want here. I'll go ahead and go with green gold because it's a little bit lighter color. And it definitely has a lot of yellows, which also have a lot of warmth and kind of feel very sunlit to me. So we'll use green gold here, and I'll just mix up again enough for all 4 canvases. We'll see what we like. So this should be just a little bit darker in value than what we used on our sky. So if we look at it against here, and you can even use a value finder if you're having trouble telling, you can just hold it up and see how dark your value was on your paint here, and then go over and see. And if you squint your eyes and you can see the color through the hole and it disappears, that's when you know you've got that value. So there's our value right there. You see how that one disappeared, and this one we can see it. So there's our value right here. When I hold it over the blue sky that we did before, it's kind of in, I can't really tell. It's kind of in here somewhere. So we're doing good. We're just a little bit darker. And our darkest should be like in here. So we've got plenty of room to go mid and dark, right? We want to be on this side of the scale for our lightest two values. Anywhere in there would be fine. So here we go. We're going to go with green. And now this blue undertone is actually probably going to be really pretty with this green. And we can do some areas that are thicker in paint and some areas that are not as thick. But there we go. So it kind of pulled that blue, and it's probably making it a little bit darker. And over the yellow, it's going to disappear entirely because that yellow is so light, it's pretty close to the same value as the yellow. And then, well, I'm skipping here, but you can see on the green, on the turquoise, really, to be more exact. This is Phthalo turquoise. It's going to make it a deeper green. Look at that, same color. And then on the yellow, or on the purple, pinky, magenta color here, it's going to be almost opposite on the color wheel. So it's going to neutralize that color. It's going to make almost a brown color because those are opposite on the color wheel, the green and the magenta. Okay, so now that's a really nice neutral, isn't it? Doesn't look anything like this one or this one or this one, but it's the same color. All right, let's go ahead and do our next value, which would be our planes that are rolling, or our angled planes that are like mountains or things like that, hills. And we'll do those right up in here. And I'm just going to go a little bit darker. What I like to do is use the same color as my sky and then add another color to it, depending on what I want, you know, how I want those mountains to lean. So I'm going to start with my phthalo, with my ultramarine blue. And then let's use some green. So maybe we'll use the phthalo green instead of the turquoise, and we'll make kind of a teal out of it. And then add just a little bit of white because we want it to be darker than this one, but not our darkest value, right? So that's pretty. That'll be really great. We'll use that. It's got a little bit more blue in it. Maybe it's got a lot of that phthalo green, the ultramarine blue and the phthalo green together really kind of make it. We really could have used any of these colors for this, and it would have worked just fine. So I'm going to use this for my mountains and just however we want to do it. These ones are kind of spaced out. Some of these ones in the back are a little bit lighter, so maybe put a little bit of light up at the top of them so that they're not as, maybe not that light, but a little bit lighter in some places. And then we can do 2 layers of it and like have one that's kind of crossing in front that's a little bit darker. So there we go. There's our mountains there. And then this one we'll do some mountains here. It's so funny how the same color looks different because our sky color, because of that yellow, our sky ended up being lighter than this one that had the darker blue underneath it. So these mountains look darker against that sky because of that. Might make them a little bit. Okay, and then let's do these ones with the purple. And maybe leave a little bit of that pink kind of peeking through here and there. I'm not loving the colors that I'm choosing here, but we'll get there. You know, you don't have to stick with these colors. These are kind of just your initial. I'm just playing here. This is going to end up being almost the same exact color as our sky with this turquoise because we darkened it up, and this color that we're using is very close to the turquoise, so it's going to kind of blend in with what we had there, be much more analogous. So this one is turning out to be kind of an analogous color scheme because we're using all blues and greens that are next to each other on the color wheel. Same thing with this one. It's kind of in that analogous range. Although this one and this are farther apart than these two colors are. This one is more close to purple than and this one is closer to this color on the color wheel. So they're not going to be as obvious of a change there. And then let's go ahead and use our Phthalo blue, and maybe I'm going to use burnt umber, burnt sienna to make a dark teal for our trees. I might even use a little bit of the ultramarine blue because that's kind of been a color similar to some of these others. All right, and so we'll just kind of throw in some trees here. And I'll do a little bit of a mid-ground green here. I didn't do that, but we'll use this on all of these all the way across and just kind of pushing up with my brush. And don't take too long with these sketches. The whole idea with this is just to get an idea of what colors you want to use. So anytime you're kind of changing out your colors or wanting to try something, see what colors, I think you need to, for sure, especially when you're starting to like branch out and do your own paintings and your own compositions, this is really important to practice to get into. It's like kind of creating your own little studies and checking your colors before you get them on canvas, so you're not wasting your paint or wasting your time changing things. I think it's really a good practice to get into. And then I think I'm going to do a transition color just between those two. So I'm going to get the green gold and add it to this color and get like a mid-tone green going. And just put a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of white. The white will just make it a little bit more opaque so that it goes on a little bit easier. So I'm just going to kind of transition between those two colors a little bit and throw in a little bit of that, just kind of dry brushing over so that there's just a little bit of a transition. And this is really all we're going to do today on our landscape. And you see how fast that came together. And you can do any kind of trees, any kind of colors. So we don't have to even use real colors. We could do all these colors in, grays or neutrals or pinks or, warm color. I mean, you can do whatever you want with this as long as you follow this kind of basic rule of lightest value, second lightest value, third lightest value, darkest value. You're good. And you can see how nice this turned out. And we've got now 4 different versions of the exact same colors used on top, and how different they look just by using different undertone colors. So practice this, play with it, see which one you like the best, and then choose that one for your landscape that we'll do next. I'm going to use burnt sienna, which is not one of the examples here, or burnt quinacridone burnt orange, because I know that that's one that I've used in the past that I've really liked. I think personally for me, I really like this one because it feels more vibrant. Like there's just something about the sky and what's going on with it. I've used this quite a lot though. This one feels very like serene. Same thing with these. These both are kind of analogous color schemes. So they're going to kind of neutralize and feel a little bit calmer. Maybe you could add some grays or even lighter values in here. You don't have to go this dark with your darkest value. You could do 4 values that are like this, just as long as they're kind of in the right places or in the right shapes or whatever. Your brain will figure it out. And you will be able to get, that feeling of a sunlit field and your sunlit sky and things like that. I probably could have gone lighter with my sky up here, but because we had that blue underneath, it went dark. I could have added more white to it down here, but I was trying to kind of keep the same value all the way across. You can see what it did there. So really fun little, thing to play with, see what you think. And do we have any questions before I go on?
No questions, but you're about 3/4 of the way through, and I was like, I wonder what this would look like on just a plain white background.
Right.
Because I can.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can do it on plain white.
No, you don't have to. Don't. Because I was looking at the palette on your palette there,
Right.
And there's some gray, and obviously gray behind it, so you can't get it. But yeah, those colors look totally different,
Right.
when you go from just its color over the top of something.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing
and
how much
so
it affects it.
a lot of people who are just trying to learn art on their own don't realize putting that under layer is going to change the world.
Right. Yeah.
Just a white canvas
makes
is
a huge.
eh.
Well, a white canvas is very hard to paint on because you're not seeing the values as easily because you've got this white shining through. So the white is affecting your colors. And when you have a color underneath, it's called a ground or an undertone because it helps to give you something to base your values off of, but it also adds to the painting. If you choose the right colors, you can really change it a lot.
Now, would you choose an underlayer depending on which part of the painting you want to draw the most attention to? Like, to me, that one in the upper left-hand corner, my
This
attention is drawn to it because it's got that red in it, or that underneath. No,
this one?
No, the one above it.
That one.
And then the green grass, that looks more
Right.
real worldish to me, so that's why I guess I'm attracted to it. Mm-hmm. So would you choose your underlayer based upon, okay, well, maybe I want to draw attention to the grass, so I'm going to choose this color instead of that color?
Right. And we can do that when we do our block-in layer, which is usually the second layer that you do. You could start with an underlayer that has all blue or whatever and decide, okay, I want my field to have more warmth. So you could choose to either go in with a yellow or a red or an orange or magenta with just that section and just block out that section too. And then your next layers over the top will be affected by it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep.
No, it's not like I'm going to paint anything. Sorry.
You never know.
Just the engineer in me. So.
All right, so here's our landscape starting out raw. We're just going to take this, and this is, again, just burnt orange with a paper towel wiped off. So very, very thin coat. It's not going to affect it too much because the darker that you go, the darker your colors will be. I didn't want it to darken my landscape too much, so I kept it fairly light. But let's go ahead and get some white, and I'm just going to add it to this blue that I already have here. And start out with that in my sky. And I think I'm going to make mine a little bit sunset-y, kind of a little bit-ish, right around the horizon line. So I might use a little bit of yellow in here, a little bit of magenta even, right at the sun, right at the horizon line. We'll see. If you go on like Pottery Barn or West Elm or any of those kind of fancy high-end, interior decorating websites, you'll see a lot of art that is done with just grayscale and a couple colors, and it's super simple. So that's what gave me the idea for doing this, and I thought it would be just a really easy way to show you that you can do that. Like, anybody can do this kind of landscape. Like, it is so simple and really fun and just kind of, I think, therapeutic. So I'm using a large flat brush. This is a 10 flat with the Aspen. And I'm just going to do these kind of blocks of color. I'm not even going to worry about really blending this in much. I can dab it if I want kind of some cloudish like things, but you can see that orange is kind of peeking through and doing interesting things. I might go a little bit more with the blue up in the upper area and maybe like do some little stripes or swatches with that blue. Maybe get a little bit of the unbleached titanium and do kind of a grayish. That unbleached titanium has a slight yellow undertone, so it's going to make it a little bit more greenish. And just kind of dab and play with it. Now, if you're new to acrylic painting, you'll know that, or you'll need to know that at some point you kind of have to let your paint sort of dry with acrylics. So get your first layer on. It doesn't have to look perfect. Let it set. do the rest, and then you can come back to it and add more to it later. Don't try to get 5 layers on in the first go, because it won't work, and it'll start to lift and it'll start to get really thick and gummy and do weird things for you. So just put a couple colors on there, let it go, and we'll come back to it. All right, let's go to our next color. I'm going to go ahead and just go in order. I usually paint back to front. I did it in the opposite direction just because I was trying to show you the value steps or the value order. But I usually paint back to front. So I'll do the mountains next. And I want some kind of warmer tones, I think, in my mountains. I want to maybe make it a little bit more kind of purpley back there, if that's a word, purpley. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use that with my blue. Again, I like to use the blue from my sky. So I grabbed the magenta and my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to do really soft purple. Again, this should be my third darkest value, so I don't want it super, super dark or super, super light. But in this photo, though, and this is, again, one of those things where this is being affected by the actual photo that we're painting from. This photo, our mountains are covered with fog, and so then their value is not as dark as they would be if they were sunlit. So that does affect it. And look at how pretty that orange is with that purple. I love it. Love it. Okay, let me get maybe a little bit of blue, and I'll do one of these with a little bit. Maybe this one's got a little bit more blue on it. Whatever you want to do, leave a little bit of that orange showing through. And with mountains, I kind of do these sloping brush strokes. So maybe I'll get some white and do just a little bit of lighter color, figure out what direction my light's coming from. And on that side of my mountain, give it a little bit more light. And on the opposite side, leave it a little bit darker too. You could do that as well. All right, really, really pretty there. I'm liking this already. So let's go ahead and figure out, there's a little like area of valley in there that's kind of sunlit, that's sort of the same color as this. So I think I'm going to tuck that in right here. So maybe we have some pink and orange with our yellow. Let's get a little bit of yellow. Let's see what happens when we add the magenta orangey to our green gold. It's probably going to turn it kind of brownish. But let's add some white and see what it looks like. That's kind of pretty. It's like an ochre. It's very similar to our yellow ochre. So let's use that. I just like that with my orange. I think it'll look nice. Doesn't... That's good. Okay. Again, I want to kind of have a little, maybe a little bit more of a neutral palette. I'm changing my colors up. Again, you can use any colors you want, just as long as you get your values right. It's really fun to play with this, change it up. This is starting to feel a little bit more maybe autumnal with these colors. Maybe this grass is a little bit dead. Yeah, like, huh?
Deserty.
Deserty, yeah, very deserty. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
I can't take credit. Somebody else said it. So
It does. Warmer colors here. This is very close to, so this was that burnt, this was Quinacridone magenta. I don't know if I grabbed the Pyrrole orange, but I think I did with the Indian Yellow Hue here. So this is very close to our undertone color too. So I am going to put some green on top of it, but I'm kind of just darkening up some of my underlayer there, just so I have some to play with. And I really like what's happening in my sky. It really looks nice with the rest of this. This orangey color would be called our mother color. I've heard that referred to, where you have a color that kind of dominates your whole painting. So if you pick a color and you kind of use it throughout, then it really tones the whole feeling of the painting. So if you have a favorite color, you can use that in there and just kind of add a little bit of it to each step and see what it does to each part of your painting. It's really fun to play with. All right, and then let's see. So for this part, let's go ahead and use our purple again. I like to use purple with green for my trees. It makes, I don't have my dioxazine purple out, but I usually like to use that. But if you mix ultramarine blue with magenta, it makes close enough. It works. And then some phthalo green yellow shade. And that makes a really beautiful bluish green. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and just use this brush, and if I kind of tip it up on its side, I can kind of tap and do, I don't want to do too much because I probably am going to mess with my background some, but I think, and this is again going to be kind of a very loose painting today. I should have said that on the outset, the onset.
Sounds like a disease.
Made me think of I went to Disney World with two of my friends. Where one of them, Terry, turned 50, and she's a big Disney fan. And Stacy and I got to go for our 40th. We went to Epcot just for the day and came back. Well, Terry's like a big Disney fan, and she didn't get to go with us when we turned 40. So now that she turned 50, she's dragged us both along. Not dragged us. We were happy to go. And we had 5 days. We had 3 days to do 4 parks, and she got us up every morning to do the rope drop. And by the second day, I was like, I'm sleeping in. We'll meet you there.
Angela would not do good in boot camp.
No. I was like, I'll do the night shift. You do the morning shift. I'll be there all night till the close. Yeah. So by the third day, by the second day, I can't remember what day we did what. Yeah. Third day there, second day at the parks. She went back for a nap, and I stayed out late.
And you went to the art festival.
Yes, art. Oh my gosh, Epcot Art Festival. Highly, highly recommend.
So somebody's already commented on your hand.
Oh yeah. I got it hented at the art festival, at the Epcot Art Festival in the Morocco area. The artist that did this was so sweet, and she was excited. She looked at my YouTube channel when I told her I was going to be painting on Tuesday, and it's kind of cracked off a little bit, but it's still hanging in there. But she was fast. I mean, she did this in like 5 minutes, if you can believe it. Like she was just like so fast. That was incredible. So yeah, it was really fun. I had a blast. Got to meet a lot of really nice artists, and anyhow, but we called ourselves Menopause Mini because we all dressed up like Mini at one point. Stacy had a mini sweatshirt. I had mini ears, and Terry had she made mini buns on her head and had a little headband. So we were Menopause Mini.
I do like the before and after on the airplane picture. So
on Facebook.
It says
it's classic.
The before, they're all woo.
We're like yes, and then going backward.
The after, it's like one's passed out.
We can't walk. Yeah, Stacy passed out.
The other two are forcing smiles.
Yeah, we're like, All right, I'm just kind of talking and letting this dry. You kind of have to let it dry at some point, so I'm just wasting time. Yeah, I have to tell you my Spaceship Earth story at Epcot, because here, I'll keep painting and I'll tell you. I think this is dry now, so doesn't look like much, but we'll get it. We'll do a little bit more to it because I don't want to leave it like this exactly. And I think I'm going to get this brush. This is a short filbert, and I'll be able to do clouds with it. But if you don't have this, you could use like a Deerfoot stippler. I like to use those. Just a short kind of scruffy brush for clouds. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of white to these clouds, maybe even some color. So we went on at Epcot, the big ball. It's called Spaceship Earth. And I'd never been on it. And Terry had. She's like, oh, yeah, it's really cool. It's about communication, which is the first funny part about this. You'll find out soon. And she's like, I've already written it, so you and Stacy, you and Angela can ride together. I'll be in front, and you can be behind me. So we're in one cart, and she's like, just a seat in front of us. And we get on. Stacy and I are getting on, and one of us hit the screen. I don't know what happened. Neither one of us knew what was going on. But we must have hit the screen when we went in and sat down, because Terry turned over and she was like, you got to select English on your screen. And we're like, I don't see anything. Ours is blank. And she's like, oh, that's weird. Maybe yours not working. We need to tell him. I was like, okay, well, hopefully it'll work. And the ride starts, and it's in Spanish.
Nice.
It's in Spanish, and it's asking us where we live. And we're trying to put in where we live, but we select like Barbados or something weird like that.
Nice.
So we are, and it's loud. Like, I can hear that Terry's is in English, and but we can't hear over our Spanish, in our ears behind us. And so we're like, Terry, we ours is in Spanish, and she's like, what? And I'm like, we don't know what's going on. We can't hear. So, we missed the caveman. I have no idea what they were saying. And then, and then it goes on, through the history of man and, communication, which makes it hilarious because we were trying to,
them.
We couldn't understand the communication at all. And so Terry's like, trying to, do, the short version for us over the back of the seat the whole ride. I'm using yellow now. I'm gonna brighten up the sky. I remember I said I would.
What's the white part that you just did before
this? This is just plain white here. I just used white.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can't enjoy my story.
Right. So she's trying to interpret for you.
Yeah, she was interpreting for us through the whole ride, and there. It wasn't the same, but it's a better story.
Yes.
Than if we had heard it the right way. Yeah.
Epcot opened in October of 1982.
Oh, gosh.
I must have gone there in 83.
Wow.
Because it had just opened. It wasn't fully
Really?
opened when I went. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember
How old were you?
82.
Using a little bit of magenta here.
14?
Wow.
Somewhere in there.
I should have gotten you the Epcot 80. I think there was an Epcot 81 shirt. It might have been, or 80, 81 or 82. I can't remember.
Probably 82.
There was a shirt, and I was like, oh, I wonder what year Mark was here. It was like a retro design.
Yeah, well, it says the interweb says it opened in 82. So, and I know it hadn't been open very long when we went.
All right, I need to start talking about what I'm doing here.
About painting? Okay.
Yeah, so I just used magenta there. And I'm going to go back and use more of that blue that I was originally using. I know, sorry, I got off topic there for a little while. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I was like, well, this is a good story. At least. Our communication ride did not communicate to us very well. And that was user error. And that was not their fault. Which, yeah. Oh, but we did go to, the first night we went to Cirque du Soleil Drawn to Life, which is amazing. Highly, highly recommend if you get to go. It's at Disney Springs, and my goodness, it was one of the highlights of our whole trip. It was Stacy's favorite thing. She'd never seen it, so I hadn't seen it since '91.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, you haven't. We definitely, when we go next. If we go next year, we'll definitely have to do it. Okay, so just adding a little bit more blue here and there. Just adding a little contrast to my clouds. I don't love the yellow too much, so I might kind of get a little bit more of that warmer, maybe a little bit orange with my white. And I don't want to mess with this too much, like, I don't. Now, orange and blue is going to make brown, so you got to be careful with this and know what you're doing as far as, how these colors are going to mix with each other. But I'm just kind of using this orange to kind of get back to where I sort of was before. But that's really nice. I think I like that. I might use a little bit more just plain white. And so when you went to Epcot, was it where the world's all there and everything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't like polished yet.
All right.
So like all the gardens hadn't been planted and everything, there's still
They're still
construction
working on it.
stuff,
They
but
had a whole section they were working on.
I'm sure they've revamped it several times in the last
Yeah.
40 years now. That's unbelievable. But
It was the busiest of the parks that we went to. I think because of the arts festival. But it was
I just remember it's cool. That's where I first saw a door open on its own.
really.
Up until that time, you always had the pressure mat on the ground that you stepped on, and the door opened up. That's where it had the motion sensor. That I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And also the jumping water.
Oh yeah.
So they had the water that
Yes,
would jump from
yes.
pad to pad to pad. I'd never seen that before either. Computer controlled and to music and stuff, and it was just like, this is the future. And of course, space ice cream. I had to, get that.
I didn't see that anywhere.
The freeze dried ice cream. I'm sure it's gone out of
Yeah.
style. People are like, really? You're charging us how much for?
Didn't see that. We did eat at this new Space 220 restaurant that was really incredible. You would have loved it.
Oh, I'm sure I would.
It was like you were eating in space. You go on a ship up into space. So I'm adding white to this original color that I used for my mountains, which was the magenta and the ultramarine blue. So I just added, mainly I just added a little bit more white here to the clouds and a little tiny bit of yellow. I wouldn't do too much if you're doing this color scheme. I think I overdid, and then I just kind of went back. You can always kind of balance it back out, So I went back in with the magenta and the orange to kind of get back some of that original oranginess back into the sky because I preferred that to that bright yellow. So just kind of play with it. You don't, and then I kind of added a little bit of that darker ultramarine blue. Just a second layer sometimes really just gives it a little bit more finished look. And then now I'm going to add just a little bit lighter values here and there to my mountains. You could dry brush this if you wanted to actually give it some textures. Whatever you want to do, however much detail you want to put in here is up to you. And then we can use maybe a little bit of our darkest value with this. I like to do that too, so like whatever I'm using in my trees, grab it and add it to my mountain color, and then maybe use it to do some mid-ground trees that are like a little bit farther back and maybe not as dark. Usually things get a little bit lighter as they approach the horizon line. So your trees and things that are the same kind of trees that are up here, as they recede, will get a little bit lighter. So we'll just kind of tap in some little trees back here that'll kind of look like they're a little bit farther away, but still a darker value than our mountains and our foreground and our ground down here. Okay. So that looks good. Sorry, I need to get back to teaching instead of talking about Disney vacations. All right, getting some of that yellow, and let me get a little bit of that green gold, and I will use this now to do my little sunlit areas on this area in here. And I'm just going to tap it in. I already got this orangey undertone. I kind of really basically just beefed up the darkness of that undertone to be underneath this. And so now I'm going to put that in, and ideally do this before you do this layer, because then you don't have to paint around your trees. But certain blockier styles, you kind of do this and you paint around things, and I really like that look too. So if you want to kind of color block it a little bit, paint around your trees, leave a little bit of the original showing, paint over it in places, and then we can add, I'm kind of deliberately painting over sections of that to kind of smoke it out a little bit. I love what's happening here. I love this color scheme a lot. This is really turning out nice, really pretty. And I think I'm gonna put it maybe a little bit more detail in my purple mountains. So I'm gonna get a little bit of that. Maybe there is some magenta in there. Who knows? I grabbed a little bit of magenta there a little bit more magenta than the blue. So maybe that's what we're gonna use. Let me wipe out most of this. So, because I want to kind of dry brush it. So when you dry brush, you don't need a lot on your brush. not a lot of water and not a lot of paint. Remember, this is going to be our third darkest value, so this can be a little bit darker than this foreground area here that's getting sunlit. Ooh, I'm lifting off my original layer there. I like that little pop of purple in there, though. That looks pretty. Pop of orange, of yellow, of pink in there. Okay. Some white. Maybe this little section right back here is a little bit farther away and a little bit lighter. And maybe this area is a little bit darker in front, right there.
This is a portion where she talks to herself.
Yeah. Sorry. I like to whisper.
Cranking you up.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. Thanks to our patrons, we have a board now that can help compensate.
For my whispery
Yes.
part of my stories. Yes. That is my right brain taking over. It likes to whisper. It's not as loud as my left brain side. All right, there we go. That's not bad. So I'm going to use a little bit of this color just up in here because I feel like I like to have it, you know, other places. So I'm just going to kind of pop that in as a undertone in here. For when I put my greens in, it'll look really nice to have a little bit of that color in there too, I think. Kind of unify it a little bit. And I might go in with just a little bit more of, I don't have a lot of room for this, so I'll wait. But I might go in with a little bit darker around the sides here. We'll see. All right, I think I'm going to grab this brush. Now that I'm kind of getting to where I'm wanting it to be a little bit more stippled, I'm going to go ahead and grab my blender, 3/8 inch blender from Philip Velvet Touch. And we'll put it in our dark trees here. So hope everybody's doing well. I didn't really say, but hope you subscribe. If you're new to our channel, welcome. Really glad to have you. If you're not new to our channel, thanks for coming back. You're a glutton for punishment. And we appreciate you.
Yes. Yes, we do.
All right, I am making more of that purpley color. This time it has a little bit more of the magenta. Sometimes you mix it, it'll be a little bit more green, and sometimes you mix it a little bit more purple. That's okay. I'm gonna go with it because I like it. So, and it's nice to have a couple of different versions of a dark. You know, I don't hardly ever use black in the dark areas of a landscape because it can kind of flatten things out. So if you will pick like 2 or 3 dark colors and use those instead that are like, you know, colors though, not black, but like shades of, you know, dark green and dark purple and blue, dark blue. You know, cooler colors tend to look really good, I think, in the dark areas of a landscape. So I'm just going to kind of pop in. This feels very impressionist. I'm getting like vibes of, trying to think, Cezanne, I think, is what it reminds me of. That classic impressionist artist. He kind of did stuff like this where he had these like obvious brush strokes and blocks of color this way. But I think this is going to be a game changer, keeping these values in mind and doing them this way. It frees up your mind to be able to explore and just play, you know, when you're not worried about, does this look right? Does that look good? You know, just worry about your values. And if you've got your values right, then you can do whatever you want. I'm going to add my unbleached titanium to my teal my turquoise color there. If you don't have that turquoise, all it is phthalo green and phthalo blue. You could use cobalt teal also. There's some lighter areas in here, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my bushes with this teal. And just going to put it right over. I'm not even waiting for that to dry. It's dry enough. It's close enough. And I'm going to use it down here too, I think. And just kind of dab in. And again, this is kind of a good like transition color between the foreground and the background, or the dark area and our sunlit area. And so go ahead and kind of tap in some of this middle dark color in here. And I mean, you could put a tree, you could do whatever you want with this. You can put taller trees, whatever floats your boat. I'm going to get some dark blue, and maybe I'll have just a few pops of like blue that's tucked in here. Ultramarine blue. Ultramarine. I say that, I always say it too fast and it sounds like ultramarine. It's not ultramarine. It's awesome. It's ultra awesome.
It's not mean at all.
It's not mean at all.
It's ultra
look
awesome.
at what that blue did. That's really pretty. So, ooh, I love that pop of blue. That's good. Good, making good life choices right now.
Is this a good activity?
Exactly. It is a good activity. You would think from my Facebook, just thinking of that, you would think from my Facebook posts that we're big drinkers. We literally had those. I think we drank at the 3 different parks. We probably drank a combined. Well, the 2 that were at the bar were non-alcoholic, and I got margaritas, a margarita flight the first night that was probably smaller than one normal size margarita, all put together. They were small, and then Terry and I shared the wine flight the last night, and we each had about this much wine. So, although my pictures show lots of drinks,
Big old drinks.
there was no imbibing really going on.
I wasn't really paying
We're
attention.
not partiers.
I wasn't paying attention to the drinks.
We're
It was
pretty
more the desserts.
Boring. Oh my gosh, we ate good. We probably gained. I don't even want to know. We ate good. That's for sure. Be Our Guest was really awesome. That was Beast Castle. And then the Space 220. But my favorite, oddly, was a little restaurant tucked away right across from Jungle Cruise called Skipper's Canteen. And it was amazing. And it wasn't busy. It was quiet. And we got in the same day. And the food was so good. It had little, I don't know. Everything was in like Brazilian and kind of Brazilian. And it had these little cheese popovers that are not on the menu that are like the secret menu item. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. And then like little tacos, kind of not tacos, but like pork. I don't know. It was good. It was good. So definitely fun. All right. I'm going to stop talking about Disney because
Let's go.
nobody cares. All right. What
Oh,
time? It's been 1 hour.
we all
I've been
care.
doing just fine. Now, I like it like this. So if you wanted to leave it like this, I think this is really cool looking. You could leave your thing orange and be good to go. If we want to make it a little bit more realistic, we can add some greens down here. Now, I think I'm going to do that, but I think I'm going to keep them in this color family here, that kind of warmer tones, and maybe not a super realistic green. I don't know. We'll see. I had to clean off my palette though because I had too much going on. I couldn't mix any new colors. There's a nice thing about the glass palette because I can just kind of scrape it off and start over. But if you're going to do that, or if you're going to do this on multiple days, you might want to do a little color notebook and write down your colors and just kind of paint them out so you kind of know an idea and like write down the formula, what colors you used where. It really is helpful, especially if you want to go back and paint it again. And And especially if you're doing your own formulas or doing your study, be sure you go in and write down all these colors here. And I probably need to do that on here. And write down what was my undertone, you know, ultramarine blue, whatever undertone, and then like just a little arrow point out what different colors you use in each section. I don't even remember anymore because it's been that long.
That was an hour ago.
I don't. All right, so let me think. What do I want to do here? I'm going to go a little bit lighter. Remember, this is going to be our second lightest value, which is also here. And let's just go ahead and kind of do some dry brushy. You could use, since this is grass, you could use a fan brush for this. But because it's a flat plane, you just generally kind of doing this like side to side. Your grass, you're not going to see the blades of grass at all until it's real close, like right here. Maybe you'll see some grass in the foreground. But anything that's this far away, it's just going to look like little strips of land. From far away, it just looks flat. So don't worry about, don't try to put your foreground in your background. Don't put details back here that you can't actually see. And I'm going to leave this orange in places. Maybe not put this color everywhere. But yeah, okay. Let's get a little bit darker version of it. Maybe a little bit of the brighter green. We use that in here. I don't have any of that color. Let me get the phthalo blue. Remember I had that ultramarine in here. I'm going to kind of make a mid-tone transition here and just kind of smush out a little bit of like mid-tone green where those two meet. Anywhere where you've got two colors meeting and they look kind of, just unfinished or don't meld very well, just mix the two together, make a third color that's like your mid-tone and just kind of, you know, put it in there where they're meeting up and you're good. All right, I want some turquoise, I think. I'm gonna get some of this turquoise because I have some back in here. I think that'll be pretty in my foreground. Again, any colors you like. You like turquoise, put it in there. Let's put a little bit, maybe a little bit. Ooh, yeah, right there. Oh, look how pretty that is. Love it. Now this is your coolest color, so it's going to recede a little bit. So keep your warmer colors in the foreground, and that'll really like push this section back a little bit. And wow, that's nice. That's nice. I'm going to put a little bit of this back here too, because that also will recede, make that color, that area look like it's going back a little bit. Maybe even put a little bit of it in my mountain. Awesome. Let's do kind of a mid-tone. We've got that really, really dark. And I think I want like another, just a little bit brighter here. Just a few places. I don't want to do too much because this is my dark area, but my trees are catching some sunlight. And again, our sunlight is going to, the areas that are catching sunlight will be our second lightest value. So the areas that are flat, up facing the sunlight, are going to catch the value. The areas that are on an angle, our mountains, are going to be the third darkest. They could be a little bit darker probably. And then the foreground is going to have like a little bit of both. It's going to have the areas where you're going to have these dark plains where you've got the grasses, sorry about my hair, the grasses that are going straight up, you know, that are catching these shadows, deep shadows. And then also the brighter areas that are, so maybe up in here we'll do some little some areas that have like a little bit of, I don't know. I'm just playing now, so this is your world, as Bob Ross would say. Maybe we've got some little grasses living here. Who knows? All right. Let's do kind of a little bit, again, a little bit of both. Let's get a little bit of this green. I'm going to leave a lot of that warmer tones showing through, but we're going to add a little bit of green in here. I love that turquoise that I just did, so I'm going to kind of cover it, or like not cover it all up, but you know, kind of blend it in a little bit. And again, I'm trying to be really, I don't know, loose with this interpretation, just playing with it, seeing what these colors do with each other when I, you know, I almost liked it better when I had it kind of orangey, so you could go back in and add more of that orange if you wanted to. You could add, maybe it's orange flowers, who knows. So let's get some of that pink and orange and make a white, mix it with white, and we'll have some pink here. And we can throw a little bit of that in here and there. Maybe there's some little areas where there's some flowers growing and all we're seeing is little dabs of pink. But we want, again, we want this area to be pretty light. So we might want to lighten this up a little bit, get a little bit brighter value, because it should be the second brightest from our sky, according to our intel, right? According to that formula. There's a book, I can't, if I could remember the name of it, I'll tell you, but I'll put it in my Amazon shop for y'all. But there's a book by a landscape artist that he's the one that came up with the idea that I'm teaching here about the 4 different values. Carlson? I want to say Carlson or Carlton, something like that, but I'm going to have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my, I'm not good with names on a good day.
Too much Disney between then and now.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, using magenta here. Just, I like the magenta. I don't know. You know? Why not? It's my landscape. I can do what I want. All right.
I like the vibe.
I see magenta. I'm going to dab in some up here. Why not? A little bit brighter. Maybe some of our mountains are catching a little bit of that. Remember, this is supposed to be a little bit darker than this, so I'm just kind of using some of this to darken up some of these areas. And try not to cover up all of your original color, too. You know, we had this Quinacridone burnt orange in the original background of the canvas, and so you can use it also in here and add it to your mountains if you want some of that in there. I'm gonna wipe my brush out, and I'm just going to use this wet brush, wet brush to do that, wipe it, just kind of soften that color that I put on there and make sort of a glaze out of it. Just kind of softly wash a little bit of that orangey color on it. I like it. I think it's turning out really cool.
It is really cool. I like it too.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. That's what
we're here for.
Right. So I really am excited to see what you guys come up with this, though. Really play with this. Please try it. I think you're going to be surprised at how much fun it is and how easy it is. Just kind of keep an eye on your values, and then do what you want with the color. But, try to play and see what different color combinations do, different color on top of other colors, and what they do. I've got other color mixing videos and things, so if you are are not sure of how colors interact, there's color mixing videos. I also wanted to mention I have a texture landscape that I did, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer now, where I started out with texture. And I think this one would lend itself really well to that. So you go in and you add texture paste to your mountains and your trees and your different areas. And then when you get to this area, you're catching the color in those textured areas, and you're getting some really neat things happening. So try it with that too. Like try combining some different techniques and see what happens. I want to see what you guys come up with, and be sure to share it with me on Facebook or on Instagram. And my links are down in the description. But I have a Facebook group that's all set up for sharing my tutorials, what you're doing for my tutorials with me, so that I can see it and comment on it. And we have some really great people in there. And they're not allowed to leave mean comments, so you won't get art shamed or anything. No art shaming. We're all having fun and trying, and that's the main thing, trying.
I just
As long
dumped
as you're trying and practicing, you're doing good art.
I just dumped the link to the Pink Floral Beginner Basic number 4 video where you talked about values in grayscale.
Perfect.
So,
Pink floral.
yep, it was your Beginner Basic number 4.
Okay, great.
From a couple years ago.
Okay, and look for the one with the tree. The tree, I think it's texture. I think it's called Simple Tree Landscape, maybe, or Simple Landscape, Simple Autumn Landscape, maybe. I don't know, but it is just like a tree. It's very neutral looking though. It's got like a neutral color scheme. I want some. So this is another thing to think about, is your composition. So right now we've got like all this black just kind of leading off the canvas, and maybe it's just leading our eye off and we're not, staying here. So maybe we need to balance it and have some dark coming in this way, or, leading the eye back around somewhere. So think about that too. We do need to have a little bit of composition, thought to our composition here too. So I might do a little bit more with our foreground trees and do like some little bushes that kind of maybe do a little zigzag here.
Autumn landscape with red trees.
Leading this way. Let me see what?
Autumn landscape with red trees.
No, keep going. It's just a single tree in a field. It's got texture. It's a single, or maybe 2 trees stuck together, but they're like brown.
I'm surfing your website.
Do it.
As I'm a pro now.
Nice. Yeah, my website should be the fastest way to find it. I'm going to use some of this turquoise. I feel like...
Easy texture beginner landscape?
Yep. Yeah, that sounds like it. Yep, that's it. So that one with this, I think, would be perfect, because then you could have some texture going on in here, and then... All right, so I need a pop of bright yellow, I think. I want something bright to draw the eye. So let's get some yellow and maybe some of this white over here. I need more white. Let's not add it everywhere. Let's just think about what shape we want to make it. So where do we want to lead the eye? Where do we want to draw the eye? Because this will draw the eye, being the brightest area, or one of the brightest areas, second brightest area. Let's say we've got that area there. We've got a lot going in this direction. I don't want to necessarily not go in a diagonal, but I think I can. Like I kind of stack these up kind of almost like a arrow that way, right? And that kind of lead the eye up here, and I think I might bring my darker across or something. I don't know, we'll see. this is, again, this is not, there's flowers in our landscape here, so, but I'm not really going by the picture necessarily. I should be using a smaller brush if I am, because the flowers are a lot smaller than this in the picture. But there we go. So nice. So now we've got some kind of movement in our lighter area here. We've got a composition that's leading the eye this way. I've got some here, there. Maybe I put a little bit of it right here. And remember back there, it's just going to look like a flat line. We're not going to see any flowers at all. Pretty, pretty. We've got a little bit of this in the sky. Nice. And then I think I'm going to just do like one area and think about where I want to put this. That is just like a really red hot focal point. We could add a few flowers down here maybe. Let's see what they look like. Let me use a smaller brush. Get a little round here. Let's see, maybe there's, do we like that color? Doesn't seem bright enough, does it? Maybe I just need that color. Or maybe I need some white to it. Maybe my magenta had a little bit of blue in it when I lifted it, because I feel like I can get a brighter red out of that. Let's do. Oop. All right. Well, we're almost done with this. I mean, honestly, you can kind of stop at any point where you're like, I really like that. And usually what I would do is, like, when I get it to that point where I'm like, I don't really know what else I want to do, but there might be something I want to do to it, just set it aside and put it somewhere where you can look at it for a few days. Like, I usually set it up in my living room. And then usually if there's something that kind of like constantly draws the eye and it is kind of like maybe a little bit bothersome to me, like, you kind of want a little bit of that in your painting because it makes it interesting. So a little bit goes a long way though. So if there's something though that you're just like constantly drawn to, but in a bad way, that you're like, I think I don't really like that, then you can go in and change it. Like maybe, yeah, I think I want just a few like little reddish flowers. Maybe these are cacti. Maybe this is desert, like Mark was saying. I don't know. Maybe this is like
high desert.
Yeah, high desert. Yeah. So that's nice. I think that's enough. I don't need it everywhere. But it kind of draws the eye, it connects this area with this. And we can add a little bit of, usually when I have a new color in here, I like to have at least 2 to 3 values of it, because then it kind of feels finished. So you have a dark, medium, and light value of it. So we can kind of dab in a little bit of lighter color in there. This is sort of the medium tone version. Maybe there's a few dots here. Who knows what this is? And we don't have to define it. It's okay. And we, like up in here, we can just have some little dabs of it that are just lines. As they go away from us, they're less and less defined. And they're more lighter, a little bit desaturated. Not as much value shift. Okay. Looking good. Again, you could put some little grasses there if you want to. We could have a little bit more of our shift in value. Maybe I'll get a little bit of this teal and just do a few little dabs of. Fitzy is sighing, so that's time to go. That's her sign that it is time to go. The dog is giving us the signal.
When Angela came home last night,
Oh my
and
gosh.
she sat down on the couch and she's just, just bursting out. And I turn around and Fitzy is full
Holding me down.
Holding
He
her
would
down.
not let me up.
Both front legs
30-pound dog.
are around her neck. His face is pressed hard into her face, just rubbing, just loving
Licking
life.
my face and pushing his head on my shoulder and hugging me. And oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
So cute.
I gave her kind of a peck on the cheek when she
Mark
walked in. Ditto.
You can see who missed me the most. Nobody makes you feel loved like a dog, or missed like a dog, I should say. So funny. Yeah, he was not letting me get up. I tried to get up a couple times and he pressed me back down.
Mm-hmm.
No. It was cute. Like it's time to snuggle, I think. Oh, he's been gone too long. Mark was sending me pictures of him moping. He's just been a sad puppy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm really liking this, I think. I think I could probably go a little bit darker with my mountains, and I'm going to go a little bit darker in the corners of my sky. And I think I'm going to call it done. I like this. I did bring up my area here, and I think I'm going to lighten this area so it's not a solid strip all the way down. I think that I don't like that it's going all the way off the canvas over here. So I'm just going to get kind of a lighter version of this teal and just kind of lighten up this area just a little bit. Maybe leave a little bit of that dark at the bottom, but not have it be such a solid strip all the way down. I think that'll help kind of maybe, yeah, just not quite so like line-ish, all the way across. Just look at that. Oh yeah, much better, much better. And I think I might do a little bit dark right here, just a little bit darker right in here, and just kind of bring in a diagonal right here that kind of comes down and connects this. That's good. So just thinking about my composition now, where I want to lead the eye. Once you get your colors figured out and your values right, and then just make your little adjustments, or maybe like figure out your composition first, and then I usually kind of work in reverse, but that may not be the best way of doing it. You plan it out a little bit, and then you don't have to change things too much as you go. A little bit of that mid-tone color back there. That looks really good. I like it. All right, and then yeah, let's just darken up our sky a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of that phthalo blue with the ultramarine blue. Ultramarine, not ultramarine. And a little bit of white, but keep it a little bit darker than I did before. This is supposed to be our lightest value, but we can still have dark areas in it, especially up in the corners. And a little bit more turquoisey here and there with this version. So yeah, that's nice. And if we tuck it here and kind of pull it down this way, we can lead the eye back down into our painting too. Maybe do a little bit there too. Oh, that's nice. Okay, like it. And you can use your paper towel too. Like this is kind of watery. I didn't put out my glazing liquid, so you can do that. That'll help make it stick, but I can use my paper towel to kind of soften off any edges when I do this. If it goes on and looks a little bit harsh and you just need to blend it in, the paper towel really kind of does a nice job, and also gives kind of like a little bit of cloud texture too. So nice. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to my mountain there. And I'm going to call that done. That's really pretty. I like how it turned out. Definitely prettier, I think, than the reference photo. You don't have to take and use the same photo, the colors as your reference photo. And I'm going to splatter some color on here too. I want to do a little bit of splattering with some white because I like the white in the flowers, so I want just like that feeling, and the splatter will help with that. We'll just splatter instead of paint them in. Add water to it until it gets to be kind of a milky consistency. It moves easily on the palette. Use a toothbrush or a fan brush or just any kind of like stiff bristled brush seems to work the best. I'm just going to kind of splatter some on there, kind of along the bottom, and we'll call that good. There we go. Hope you guys try this. Ooh, super chat.
You were just racing on,
Excellent.
leaving us all in the dust.
Well, he said I had to get done by 8.
Super
so.
chat. Yeah, but we got super chat. So come
Okay,
on.
nice. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
So we had, go from the top here. So from our friend Cindy.
Love the giraffe photo on Facebook. I know. I think I'm definitely going to paint that. I got a video of a giraffe that is really cool. I got an even better one of one that had its neck to me and eating straight up to the tree.
Okay.
All the way down. I mean, it was really neat. The safari photos are really cool that I got. I didn't even post all of them. So yeah, I got some really good photos from the trip.
And then the next one.
Thank you so much. Made my day today. Oh, thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank
That's made
you.
our day.
Super sweet. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then this just in.
Oh, from Linnea. Pair character dancing under a rain of confetti, taking his hat off to say, "You are amazing." Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I love the descriptions.
I know.
That's my favorite. Superb.
Doing.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Love it, love it.
To Cindy and Becky and Linnea.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I'm always relieved when I get back. And I was really looking forward to doing this one because I knew I had I wanted to play with color. It'd be an easy one to come back to. Yeah, I'll post both of these. I'll probably put these side by side in the thing, but in the thumbnail for this video. But I will for sure be posting this on my socials so that you'll have this comparison too, and I'll make notes on here for you so you can kind of see the differences in all of these. And hopefully that was helpful for you, and I hope you play with it and try it yourself because it really is fun and surprising sometimes what happens with these colors when you put them over a ground of
you would, looking at it right now, you would never know that is the same color on all 4 squares.
No, you would never know.
Wow.
Yep. The only difference was the undertone. Yep. And we use pretty similar colors in this finished painting. The only difference is I used purples in the mountains instead of that turquoise color because I decided I wanted more oranges with this one. But this one had the orangey base, which is my favorite to use on a landscape lately. So is that kind of orangey, almost that quinacridone burnt orange. Has that almost a magenta. It's got a lot of magenta in it, and I think that's why I like it because I always really like the magenta, but the orange pulls it a little closer to a warmer color, so it doesn't take it so purpley in the sky. So anyhow, all right. And thank you guys.
Yes, and thank you to the thousands of faithful supporters over on Patreon.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys.
Yes, we really do. And if I'll have a traceable for this tutorial, that'll be posted there probably either tonight or tomorrow. I have traceables for hundreds, and hundreds. All of my videos from back to 2017 and some even before that. So they're all posted on, if you go to my website, you can see literally every single painting every tutorial that I have available is on my website is thankfulart.com. And you can get an idea of what my patrons are doing. And if you want to sign up, it has links right over to the Patreon page where you can join. So, thank you. I'll be coming out with our February schedule probably on Monday. So be looking for that. And we so appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.